This tutorial covers the basics of using KeyCite in Westlaw Next. After viewing this tutorial, you will be able to use KeyCite to verify whether a case is still good law. You will also be able to use KeyCite for research. This is a basic introduction to KeyCite. As you get further in law school, you'll gain a deeper understanding of KeyCite. Let's say you are a summer associate and the managing partner has received a phone call from a small business owner. Mrs. Brighton is opening Cleveland Bliss Salon and Day Spa. She wants to offer spa day birthday parties for tweens that include a pool party. She's a little concerned because she's heard about a legal term called attractive nuisance. She's worried that if a child would get injured or drown in her pool, she might be liable under this attractive nuisance doctrine. The managing partner wants you to take a look into Ohio case law on the topic. In the process of doing research, you found a case that looks to be right on point. The case is Uden v. Embassy Suites Hotel. In the Uden case, a child drowned in an indoor hotel pool. The case looks good for your client, though, because it says that the attractive nuisance doctrine did not apply because the child was an invitee on the property. Now it's up to you to determine whether the Uden case is still good law and to see what subsequent cases and secondary sources have to say. Before we go any further, it's important that you understand some key terms. The original case is the subject of the KeyCite report. The original case we're using is the Uden case. Direct history refers to all of the opinions issued in conjunction with a single piece of litigation. This includes any cases that appeal or remand the original case. Prior history are opinions issued before the original case. They are part of the direct history of the original case. Subsequent history are opinions issued after the original case. They are part of the direct history of the original case. Indirect history includes all unrelated cases that cite the original case and are not part of the direct history. The table of authorities is a listing of the cases relied upon as authority by the original case. And citing references is everything that has cited to the original case. This includes not only cases and statutes that have cited the original case, but also secondary sources, court documents, or regulations. Okay, let's now look at KeyCite for the Uden case. You can access KeyCite in a number of ways. Here I've pulled up the full text of the case in the course of doing research. If you have the citation for a case, you can also type KC followed by the citation or KeyCite followed by the citation in the big box at the top of Westlaw Next. Notice that there's a yellow flag next to the name of the case. Also, there's a series of tabs running across the top of the case. The yellow flag is called a status flag and can help you in determining whether the case is still good law. You'll see different status flags in KeyCite. A red flag warns that the case is no longer good law for at least one point of law that it contains. A yellow flag warns that the case has some negative history but hasn't been reversed or overruled. You might also see a blue H or a green C. Our case has a yellow flag, so we know that it has some negative history, but it hasn't been reversed or overruled. But still, we'll want to examine the KeyCite report for the Uden case a little closer. To do this, we'll look through the tabs that run along the top of the case. The Filings tab lists the court filings in the original case. This can include pleadings, briefs, petitions, or documents. The Table of Authorities tab shows you all of the cases that the original case relied upon as authority. Notice the depth of treatment bars to the left and the green quotation marks. The quotation marks means that the original case quotes the first two cases we see in the Table of Authorities. The depth of treatment bars indicates to what extent the original case discusses the Armstrong case. Here is a little more about depth of treatment. These depth of treatment bars can sometimes factor into your research. You might want to further examine a case with 4 bars, but ignore a case that only has 1 bar. The next tab we'll look at is the Negative Treatment tab. This one is really important for seeing whether your case is still good law. Remember, that's probably one of the main reasons that you're using KeyCite. The Negative Treatment tab lists both direct and indirect negative history of a case. For our original case, you can see that there is no direct negative history, but there are negative citing references, so there is negative indirect history. KeyCite will indicate in red what it considers the most negative case in the citing references. Here it is the Long case. This means that you'd want to have a closer look at this case. Also, you see the green quotation marks and the depth of treatment bars. If our original case would have had a red flag, then you'd look under the Negative Treatment tab to find the case that reversed or overruled the original case. Next, have a look at the History tab. This tab shows the direct history of the case in both list and graphical form. The graphical view on the right is really helpful for understanding how a complicated case moves in and out of various court levels. Finally, have a look at the Citing References tab. This is a tab you'd use to find out what other documents have cited to your original case. By doing this, you can find later cases that might be on point that you can use to further support your argument. From the Citing References tab, you can also find secondary sources that will further explain points of law in the original case. You can use the Citing References tab to do what's called KeyCite for research. Remember, the other function of KeyCite was to find out if your case is still good law. You do this primarily with the Negative Treatment tab. As you look at the Citing References tab, you see that there are 112 documents that cite the original case. This is a lot, so you might want to limit by type of document. You can do this on the left. For example, you can pull up the 17 cases that cite the original case. 17 cases is a manageable number of cases to look through, but sometimes you'll find hundreds of cases citing to an original case. If that happens, then you want to further limit your case results by using the search within the results box at the bottom. Notice in the center of the screen, the KeyCite indicates the most negative case up top. This is the Davis case, and you'd want to have a closer look at it. You can also use the Citing References tab to find secondary sources that have cited your case and probably discuss some of the legal issues in your case. Click on Secondary Sources on the left, and then you can navigate to the type of secondary source you're interested in. Here you can look at 2 ALRs and 1 law review article. Remember, this is part of using KeyCite for research. In this video, we've been focusing on KeyCite for cases. You should also know that you can use KeyCite for other types of documents, such as statutes, regulations, and law review articles. To summarize, you can use KeyCite to find out if a case is still good law. You can also use KeyCite for research, meaning that you can use KeyCite to find secondary sources on point or to find later cases that cite to your original case. If you have any questions, feel free to contact one of the reference librarians by email or phone, or stop in and see us in the library.